메르스가 있어갖고 제가 몇 교구 성령대가 강의가 있었는데 다 취소됐는데 서울 교구가 센가 봐요.
This guy is a father who's in his 20s. So he's a priest.
하는 분들이 되게 긍정적인 면이 많아갖고 면역력이 강하대요. 그래서 아마 여러분들 큰 문제 없을 거라고 생각을 합니다. 이런 말이 있죠. 사람 위에 사람 없고 사람 밑에 사람 없다. 이런 말 있죠. 이런 말 언제 주로 하죠? 내가 사람 취급 못 받을 때. 이것 봐. 사람 위에 사람 없고 사람 밑에 사람 없어. 똑같은 사람끼리 왜 무시해 하잖아요. 근데 요즘 한국 사회를 보면은 너무 사람을 무시하는 문화가 많은 것 같아요. 특정 기업을 욕하려고 그러는 게 아니고 삼성의료원이 이번에
right
제일 많이 메르스를 전파했잖아요. 그런데 치료비 낸 사람은 마스크를 주고 치료비를 안 낸 사람은 마스크를 안 줬대요. 온 환자 가족들도. 그러니까 이게 돈이 있으면 사람을 귀하게 여기고 돈이 없으면 사람을 무시하는 게 대한민국에 꽉 차 있는 것 같아요. 작년에도 강남의 한 아파트에서 5층에서 아주머니가 경비 아저씨한테 간식을 줄 때 5층에서 던져줬대요. 5층에서 먹으라고. 그것도 꼭 유통기한 지난 거. 던져주고 난 다음에 가서 먹었는지 안 먹었는지 확인까지 했다는 거예요. 오죽했으면 분신 자살을 했겠어요. 오죽했으면. 근데 여러분들이 사람을 귀하게 여기라고 인권을 존중하라고 가르치신 분이 누구시죠? 예수님이에요. 어떻게 보면 예수님은 성서 전체가 사람을 귀하게 여기라고 가르치신 것 같아요. 성서 전체. 마태복음 25장에 보면은 양떼, 이 염소떼 오른쪽 왼쪽에 나눠놓고 난 다음에 오른쪽에 있는 양떼들한테는 하늘나라를 차지하라고 그래요. 우리가 뭘 잘했다고 하늘나라를 차지합니까? 그러니까 예수님이 뭐라고 그러냐면 너희는.
Okay, so what just happened now? He just said he had a lot of events set up around Korea, but because of the disease called MERS or MELS, he couldn't. They all got canceled, all but this. And he was quite disappointed when he saw that in some of the entrances here, if you don't pay $5 pretty much, you won't get a mask to prevent getting getting infected. But he said we should all treat each other like humans and not those who can pay up as humans. Well, I think that's a really good point, because not everyone can pay up.
그래서 애들이 손잡고 나가는 거 여러분들 가끔 혹시 기억나요? 근데 같이 살 동안 애들이 저녁마다 운동장에서 노는 거야. 왜 우냐? 자기는 나가고 싶대. 엄마 손잡고 아빠 손잡고 전철에 동남 나가는 거 실패하는 거예요. 왜 싫으냐 그러니까 전철 안에서 같은 반 친구 보는 게 죽기보다 싫다는 거야. 죽기보다 싫다는 거야. 그 동네. 그러니까 예수님은 그들의 아픔을 그냥 멀리서 아니 그냥 먹고 마시고 놀면서 그 안에서 온전히 위로하시는 어느 누구도 무시하지 않아요. 결국은 그들을 위해서 마지막에 십자가에 목숨을.
Okay, so this time he's talking about how much of a hard time blind people have, in Korea especially. Because they can't do anything, they have to go to the subway system and collect money, beg for money. And every time that happens, they have a hard time like actually collecting them because they get robbed. And also sometimes they take their children to the subways, so that doesn't happen anymore. But the kids, they tend to hate it, and in turn hate the parents because they don't want their friends to see them like that. So for the blind people, that's the hardest part for them. And the hardest part for them is not being able to see their children when they are first born, and not being able to see what they're eating because it feels different. Well, I can't relate to that. I've never been blind, hopefully, but I can understand how hard it could be to not be able to see the child grow, because my mom lived here and I lived in America, and well, she didn't see me grow, so, and then I just suddenly show up as like a teenager and now in the 20s, so that's understandable.
안 나는 게 일등이에요. 뭐가 정이 많은 나라예요. 잘못된 말 때문에 우리의 본 모습을 못 보는 거죠. 1970년대 그 대기업에서 우리 노동자들이 동대문에서 구로에서 이제 니네들 지금 잘 먹고 잘 사니까 돈 많이 벌으니까 우리도 좀 나눠줘라, 노동자들이 막 대모하고 나왔어요. 그때 뭐라고 그랬냐면 나중에 나눠줘. 우리 이 나라가 좀 잘 살고 나라가 좀 안정되면 나중에 나눠줄게 그랬어요. 근데 지금은 우리나라 잘 살아요, 못 살아요? 잘 살아요, 여러분들. 외환보유액이 3,700억 달러로 세계 7번째 돈이 많은 나라예요. 그리고 지금 기업은 돈이 얼마가 있느냐면 515조가 있어요. 515조. 우리나라 1년 전체 예산이 한 350조인데 그것보다도 기업이 10대 기업이 가지고 있는 게 많아요. 그 중에 15조만 나눠줘도 우리나라 대학생들 다 구성을 할 수 있어요. 그리고 이 하청업체들한테 100원 이익 주고 200원, 300원 주잖아요. 그러면은요, 적기가 잘 살아요. 여러분들, 지금 우리나라가 돈이 흘러 넘치는데 왜 죽겠다 해요? 안 나눠서 그러는 거예요. 안 나눠서. 독일은 지금 시간당 2만 원인가 올렸어요. 지금 얼마나 경제가 활성화되는지 몰라요. 왜냐면 낙수효과가 이명박 대통령이 낙수효과 그건 아무 소용도 없다는 거예요. 가지고 있는 사람은 절대 안 나눈다는 거예요. 나눠줘야지 천국이 되는 거예요. 나도 성장될 때 이 잘 사는 부자들한테 가고 신축 좀 하시죠. 그럼 뭐라고 해요? 신부님 딱 공헌한다고.
Okay, so this time is comparing other countries with Korea. There's this one country near Russia that for 600 years they kept losing their country to other countries, and one day they decided, let's share half of each other's stuff till they get better, till the country's better. And that was like when they decided, that was like after World War II. And now they're doing fine. They're wealthy, and they still share half of their things. So half of their income they share with each other. And because they're able to do that, they're able to send their kids to school, even to college and all that, for free. Now, in America, we pretty much pay tax, so we, in that way, send kids to school for free. But when it hits college, that's not true. We have to take our money there unless we get like a Hope Scholarship or something. Now here in Korea, that's even worse. You have to pay up, starting from preschool all the way to college. Now, the reason behind that is in the 70s, we were poor here. And they were like, I won't share my wealth yet. I will when we get better, when the country gets wealthier. Well, now, this country is in one of the top 7 wealthiest countries. And it's kind of sad to think that even now, the rich will be rich, the poor will be poor, and there's nothing in between that. There's a lot of people in the streets just begging for money. And kids who could have made it all the way through college can't go there because they don't have the money. They were doing so well, they studied so hard, and when it comes to college, they couldn't because they couldn't pay up. I think that's something to think about every time we go to school in America, because at least we can go to high school for free. You know, here, if you don't have the money, you can't go there unless the teacher says she or he is willing to pay up for the kid. So that's something really important. And this father, he wants Korea to think about that. It doesn't have to be half of our income, but something, share something, you know? And everyone could go to college and make something of themselves. I think that's a really good topic.
선택을 해야 되는데 우리 아이는 졸업생 중에 누가 성공하게 됐나 회의를 할 때 그게 나야. 아니 왜 1등을 데려다가 하지 왜 597등을 제 생각에는 그 친구들이 훌륭하게 된 사람을 뽑은 게 아니고 행복한 사람을 뽑은 거죠. 누가 자기 졸업생 중에 제일 행복한가? 저는 중고등학교 때 제일 하고 싶은 오로지 하나밖에 없었어요. 사제가 되고 싶고 신학교가 되고 싶고. 그리고 신학교 합격한 날 온 세상을 얻은 그때 그 기도는 아직도 남아있어요. 신학교 합격한 날 얼마나 행복했는지. 그리고 신학교 생활 정말 재밌었죠. 신학교 생활 정말 재밌었단 말이에요. 보자 3년도 행복했고 본당 신고 10년 했는데 우리나라 교우들이 참 착해요. 나 본당 신고 10년 동안 교우들이 본당 신고를 어떻게 했느냐면은 이렇게 손에다가 받들어 업고 다녔어요. 얼마나 행복해요. 그리고 평창에 와서 샀는데 11년, 12년이 되는데 참 좋아요. 평창 가보면은 경치가 너무너무 좋아요. 마당에 딱 있으면요, 산 보이지, 강 보이지, 밤에 별 보이지, 걱정이 하나도 없어요. 아니, 걱정 있을 게 뭐가 있어? 마누라가 있어, 자식이 있어. 걱정할 게 뭐가 있어? 걱정이 하나도 없어, 걱정이. 얼마나 행복한지 몰라요. 그러니까 행복한 나를 조축해 것 같아요. 근데 우리는 꼭 1등을 해야 돼. 1등을 못하면 불행하다고 생각해. 자기가 하고 싶은 1등을 하면 우리가 어디로 들어가야 되냐면
Once again, he said something very important, very, well, I think Americans will, in a way, understand this better than the Koreans here, but it's about being the very best is not everything. You know, you don't have to be the best to live happy. Like most people in America, you know, just because you didn't go to college, oh, that doesn't mean anything. You can make something of yourself. I mean, that's how a lot of wealthy people were, and just because you couldn't make it to college doesn't mean your like future is ruined. You could always go to the military, stuff like that. And for him, well, he wasn't the best at school. He was at the top 500 instead of being the very best student. But when they had a reunion, you know, after like 30 years, 30-year reunion or something, his friends chose him as the best student at school because they didn't choose him for being number one at school. They chose him for being the happiest. Someone who doesn't regret about what he has chose. Because a lot of people, their job, they don't like it. They thought it's a good business at first, but later they regret it. But he didn't because, well, he chose what he wanted at an early age. And he didn't want to be the best, he just wanted to be happy. And I think that's very important. He says that his road to becoming a priest was the best moment of his life. Not because he was the best at it, but because that's what he wanted. And no one forces him to do anything. And again, Americans would easily understand that. You know, a lot of parents, just because you have a D in class, they don't kick you out of the house. They scold you about it, say just do a little better. But they don't want you to, stress yourself out. Here, however, all the parents are like, you have to be number one, you have to be number one. And I'm thinking, well, that number one spot, there's only one of them. What happens if you don't make it? Does that mean you disown the child? No. Then stop making them think that, because that's how kids think. Kids here are like so afraid of it because they're like, the parents want them to be number one, so they're trying so hard. That's why they go to cram school and, they don't have time to have social, time, like to play around. So that's what they need to learn here from this meeting. Very important.
갈대가 어디가 있을까요? 얘는 갈대가 없고 탈선밖에 할 게 없어요. 탈선밖에. 저한테 몇 년 전에 우리나라 특목고등학교 합격한 여학생이 우울증에 걸려서 저를 찾아왔어요. 고등학교 1학년 여학생이 우울증에 걸리니까 머리를 안 깎아서 머리가 허리까지 내려서 허리까지 머리가 나하고 1시간 동안 얘기를 하다가 고개를 팍 숙이고 울면서 1시간 동안 얼굴을 한 번도 안 들었어요. 그러니까 이 긴 머리가 아프고 내 얼굴을 못 봐서 1시간 동안 얼굴을. 자, 무슨 조연아야? 근데 자기는 초등학교 4학년 때 군포라는 곳에서 공부를 너무너무 잘했대요. 근데 선생님이 엄마를 부르더니 얘는 군포에다 놓기 너도 아까운 애라고 평촌으로 보내라고. 그래서 평촌으로 간 거예요. 근데 가자마자 전도 1등을 하니까 바로 왕따를 가요. 왕따. 네. 근데 또 선생님이 부르더니 얘는 평촌에 놓기 너무 아깝다고 일산으로 보내라고. 일산으로 중학교 가고 또 전도 1등을 했는데 선생님이 또 엄마를 부르더니 얘는 일산에 놓기 너무 아깝다고 강남으로 보내라고. 그래서 바로 요 동네로 이사를 왔어요. 요 동네로 이사를 와갖고 얘는 특목고등학교 합격을 한 거예요. 근데 특목고등학교는 3월달에 입학하지 않는데요. 1월달에 벌써 기숙사에 들어간대요. 그래갖고 2달 동안 고등학교 2학년까지 방학 친대. 2달 만에 고등학교 2학년까지 방학 친대. 근데 첫날 들어가서 공부를 하고 양치를 하려고 그러는데 치약 아깝게 한 반이 6명이었는데 한 방에 그래갖고 치약을 빌려달라고 그러는데 한 명도 안 빌려줘. 한 명. 왜 안 빌려줄까요? 얘네들은 현역, 양보, 배우기 없는 애들이야. 뭐만 배운 애들이야? 경쟁만 배운 애들이야. 1등만 배운 애들이야. 얘는 치약 빌려주고 양치 잘해갖고 다음날 내 나이 머리 건강하고 공부하고 돼야 돼요. 그거 안 될 일이잖아요. 그러니까 안 빌려주는 거예요. 얘는 양치 안 하고 입안에 세균이 두글두글해갖고 다음날 감기가 걸려갖고 메르시병에 걸려갖고 쓰러져요. 그래갖고 얘가 거기서 폐기가 온 거예요. 이게 도대체 뭐냐? 이게 도대체 뭐냐? 그래서 공부하기 시작해서 완전히 우주를 준 거예요. 얘가 울면서 나한테 정말 피눈물을 흘리면서 나한테 한 말이 있어요. 신부님, 나는 인생을 돌아봐서 즐거웠던 추억이.
Once again, being the best at something, studying hard, is not everything, is what he's saying. This girl who went to high school, before she went there, she was moved around constantly, not by the parents, but by the teachers. The teachers are like, you don't belong here, you're too good, you need to be over there. And then that teacher's like, no, you should go over there. And that teacher's like, you should go over there. And such, something like that. And then she finally reached this area where I'm standing here, a school around here. And that's like a top school, like #1 school for high school. And well, one day, like, she realizes that over there, school doesn't start when school starts. School starts when school starts 2 months earlier, and they put you in a dorm, and you graduate faster. Well, on the day she went there, she forgot to bring toothpaste, so she tried to borrow some from the dorm mates, but no one would let her borrow the toothpaste because they didn't learn to share. They didn't learn social skills, basically, because all they learned was how to be the best. #1, ignore everyone, look down on people, because that's the only way to live in the society for them. Well, the next day, because she couldn't brush her teeth properly, she caught the Mayor's disease, and it's a deadly disease. A lot of people died from it. And she came to that priest and said, I don't have any memories of happiness. And she went through depression and just went to talk to him. Now, when I heard that, I was like, man, there's a lot of people who commit suicide here, and they're around high school, maybe college. And it's very common, and this is probably why. No one cares about each other, and then they fall into depression later on. They could pretend to be your friends, but then they just look down on you. It's kind of sad, actually, because when I was in America, high school was a blast. I might have not had the best grades, but I sure as hell had a lot of good friends and good teachers. Those who will respect me and share thoughts. But this girl didn't get that chance. It's kind of sad.
남을 양보한다든가 배려한다든가 이런 지난 6월달에 밤에 강의를 했어요. 같이 강의한 신부님이 저녁에 시내 구경 나갔는데 건널목을 이렇게 두 걸음을 건넜어요. 근데 딱 빨간불이 딱 켜지거든요. 그러고 내가 뒤로 두 걸음 물러났어요. 그랬더니 그 앞에 있던 차가 출발을 하지 않고 날 보고 웃으면서 가려는 거예요. 날 보고 웃으면서 가려는 거예요. 자기 파란불이 켜졌는데. 그래서 가냐고 그러니까 뒤에 차가 있는데 한차도 빵빵거리잖아요. 내가 그래서 빨간불에 건너갔는데 되게 멋쩍었는데 굉장히 인상적이더라고요. 이 미국이나 유럽이나 이 호주 같은 데를 가보면요, 항상 누가 우선이냐면 사람이 있어요. 사람이. 이 입장하는 부부하고 아들들이 스페인 600km 꼼포스들라 성지순례를 갔는데 그 아들이 한 얘기예요. 그때 갔는데 내 강의를 듣더니 신부님 자기가 600km 걷는 동안 길도 아름다웠지만 제일 감동받았던 건 뭐냐면 자기가 길을 건너려고 할 때 안 쓴 차가 단 한 번도 없대요. 특별히 트럭도 소진되는 트럭 사람 항상 누가 우선이냐 사람이 우선. 근데 요즘 한국 사회에서 사람이 길 걸어간다고 할 때 차가 서서 기다려주는 차가 얼마나 될까요? 내가 또 그런 걸 많이 보고 배워가고 우리 기사한테 이렇게 보통 2차선에 이면도로에 가보면은 할머니들이 이렇게 길 건너려고 돌아보잖아요. 돌아보면 건널 의지가 있는 거 아니에요? 서라 저 할머니 건널라 본다. 1년 동안 그냥 가더라고. 차가 너무 우선이지 차를 피해야지 왜 차가 사람을 피해내냐고 1년을 가더라고 1년. 내가 또 이제 잔소리를 해서 여기 서갖고 웃으면서 타라. 그러고 이렇게 뒤돌아보던 할머니가 우리가 웃으면서 타라 그러면 이 할머니 눈빛이 어떤 눈빛이냐면 진짜 가도 돼? 이런 눈빛이야. 이런 눈빛이야. 근데 우리가 진짜 가도 돼? 이거 보면 끝에서 웃습니다. 제가 지난달에 그 원주 국토관리청 강원도 직원들 가까우니까 제가 운전하고 나갔어요. 근데 이제 돌아가는
This is another good topic. Basically, what he was saying was, well, us Americans, we know, there's a person walking across the street. What do? We wait for them. We stop. We let them go, especially when it's an area where they're supposed to cross the road. And also, if they're really in a hurry and they try to cross the road where it's dangerous, if they give us the sign that they're trying to cross the road, we stop for them because, humans are first, then cars. Well, actually, in America, it's humans, people on bikes, then cars, then trucks, in that order. Because there's an order to things to make it safer. Well, here, I noticed this quite a times. Even when it's green light and I'm trying to cross the road, the car that's supposed to stop turns right, and I almost got run over so many times. And for them, they're first. They don't care what happens to the person. They're first. If they run me over, it's my fault. Even though I'm following the rules. It's green light. And he went to America and learned that. And his friend went to Spain and learned that. So like knowing that there's an order to things, there are rules to make things safer. He basically just every time his driver drives to the streets and like an old lady is trying to cross the road, he keeps telling him to stop. Wait. For about a year, the driver kept complaining and argued with him. But now, he stops for the old lady. And every time they do this, the person next to the person who's about to cross the road always goes like, really? Can I really? That's how bad this country is in that aspect on following the rules. I'm pretty sure when they're getting the permit and license, it probably says that you're supposed to stop for people, but nobody cares. Nobody remembers that. They just Korea, like, doesn't matter if you're in the rural area or the urban area. Everyone's in a rush. They're in such a hurry. They just don't care anymore. So Koreans, what they can learn from us is that there are rules. There are times when you need to be in a rush, and there are times when you need to calm down, think about what you're doing, and make it safe for everyone.
일본은 중요해요? 지금의 내가 중요한 게 아니에요. 누가 족보가 그게 중요해요? 뼈대가 그게 중요해요? 그러니까 우리 족보 뼈도 없으면 사람도 안 되는 거예요. 지금 내 자신이 가장 소중한 건데 그걸 못하는 거예요. 지금 여기 앉아있는 여러분들 자체가 가장 소중한 겁니다. 이걸 1592년 4월 13일 날 임진 대란이 일어나요. 이때 일본 명령 외놈들 몇 명이었느냐면 15만 8천 명이 와요. 이때 우리나라 군인은 몇 명이었느냐면 8천 명 있어. 8천 명. 15만 8천 명이 밀고 오는데 우리나라 군인은 8천 명밖에 안 됐어요. 이 8천 명은 나라를 위한 군인이에요? 왕을 위한 군인이에요? 왕을 위한 군인이에요. 백성을 위한 군인일 수가 없어요. 우리가 일본 놈들을 쪽발이 그러는데 나는 거기에도 동의할 수 없어요. 일본은 쪽발이의 나라가 아니에요, 여러분들. 왜냐하면요, 우리 남한은 지금 10만 제곱킬로미터인데 일본은 37만 제곱킬로미터예요. 우리나라보다 4배가 나라가 커요. 그리고 우리는 5천만인데 일본은 인구가 1억 2천만이에요. 우리나라 인구가 2배다, 2배. 1억이 넘으면 대국이라고, 대국. 그리고 우리나라는 경제 규모가 1조 달러인데 일본은 경제 규모가 7조 달러예요. 우리나라보다 경제 규모가 7배 큰 나라예요. 중국은 14조 달러. 그런데 전 세계에서 일본 놈, 중국 놈 무시하는 건 대한민국 사람밖에 없어요. 대한민국 사람밖에 없어요. 그러니까 수천 년 동안 당하고 사는 거예요. 제대로 우리의 모습을 본 모습을 못 보고.
Okay, so this one's actually pretty funny, but it's a good point again. So basically, Korea has been through a lot, but he's saying we dig our own grave. That's why we go through a lot. Back when Japan took over Korea, I'm talking about like in the medieval times. Well, Korea had like a few thousand troops. Japan had like maybe 100,000, 108,000, something around there. Okay. Well, let's see. Actually, it might have been 80,000 troops, and then they had 100-something thousand troops. So now, if you do the math, you know, we're outnumbered. But the reason behind that is because in Japan, everyone fights for the country. For the country. That's something different from Korea back then. They fought for the king. Yeah, like no form of nationality whatsoever. So kind of sucks. And even China had some form of nationality back then. So we were really outnumbered, and we somehow managed to make it through that war. We won, but we could have done better. We won by strategy, not by men, and that's not winning by strategy is great, but winning by men, their motivation is even better. And you lose less lives that way. And so there's that. But now, in the modern time, Korea is constantly like looking down on Japan and like going like, Japan tried to take over our country, like they're like evil people, we shouldn't trust them, something like that. And I'm thinking like, well, technically we made it possible. The 2 times they tried to take over the country, we made that possible. The first time was with no form of nationality, but like loyalty to the king. That's it. That's all we had for us. Plus, the country's Korea is like 4 times smaller than Japan. So there's that. And the time when they actually succeeded taking over the country, people always they didn't consider the humans at that time. They were considering who are your ancestors? What did your ancestors do? Are your ancestors important? If not, then you're not important. Something like that. Almost like a caste system. And because of that, there's been a division, like a split. Those who are worthy and those who are not. And so while Korea is going through that rough time, Japan's like, we can take over the country now. And they did. And then Korea took it back with, kind of like a revolution. Yeah, they took it over again. But, we didn't have to go through all that if the country was first, not the people, Like, if there were any form of nationality, we would have been fine. Now we have some nationality, which is why we were able to take over, or Korea was able to take over the country back from Japan. But it's not enough, because right now Japan's doing so much better financially, and they have so much more people, so many more people. Even though it's 4 times larger, it's mostly mountains. And here we should have at least 2/3 of the population of what they have, but we only have half, maybe less than half of what they have, because we don't try hard enough. Financially, they're at the top. We're almost at the top. We're around the top, but we're not at the top. Even China is doing better than us in that aspect. And we always, in America, we respect Japan. Well, I guess it's because, they make good products, they have good manners, We respect Chinese people because, well, they know what they're doing. They can take care of themselves. But Koreans make fun of Japan. They're like, Japan, they're good for nothing. If they're good for nothing, then they should, what is Nintendo? What is Toyota? All that stuff. And even in China, if China wasn't, Korea makes fun of China, going oh, China, they're just terrible. Well, China is, isn't it true that most countries have some kind of contract to trade with China? Like America, they trade with China. They do that. Korea does it. Japan does it. So what's wrong with that? What's wrong with China? Plus, a lot of Olympic champions are from China, more than Korea. And so there's that. And it's so sad that China doesn't make fun of Korea, Japan doesn't make fun of Korea. Heck, they don't make fun of each other. So why should Korea do that? And so weird, because Koreans in America, they keep that tradition. They don't really, appreciate those different Asian people. Koreans tend to have arguments with each other, claiming that person's wrong, I am right. Who cares? If you're wrong, then accept it, If you're right, then don't brag about it. Don't try to make someone, don't force it upon someone. But that's what Koreans do. That's how they function as Koreans. And they need to change that, because I'm pretty sure Japan doesn't do that, which is why they're wealthy. If everyone in a business was no, you need to do it like this, and then some people are like, you need to do it like that. It would split. That company would split, and one of them would fail, one of them would succeed, less income. Because of this problem, there's like less respect among kids to their parents. Less respect. Like, I mean, yeah, there's respect, but in Japan, your father or your mother is absolute. You have to listen to them. In Korea, you could just, you could decide, I'm going to be a delinquent. I don't care. I don't respect my mom. I don't respect my dad. I don't really care anymore. I'm just going to do whatever I want and then go the wrong way. And even when the mother tries to teach them that it's wrong, a lot of people don't listen. That's just sad. I mean, when my mom raised me till I went to America, she did not do that. She made me respect her. She respected me. So, and she didn't want me to be the number one. She wanted me to be happy. So, like, financially and socially, Korea is screwed up.
내 인생 최대의 약점이 장가 안 간 거야. 장가 안 간 거야. 좋아요. 그렇다면은 여러분들 애들이 30살이 되면 애들이 여러분한테 뭐라고 해? 엄마, 제발 내 인생에 좀 빠져줘. 나 이제 다 잡았어. 엄마 이제 그만 챙겨내 내 인생. 그럼 갑자기 할 일이 없어져. 그럼 애들 다 컸으니까 자아실험 끝나. 그러면 다 그거 끝나서 자아실험 끝나서 어떻게 해야 돼? 죽어야지. 근데 죽어야 안 죽어요. 자아실현 안 된 상태에서 60살부터 100살까지 죽는 거예요. 그러니까 사는 게 재미가 하나도 없어요. 의미도 없고. 만약에 여러분들이 30살부터 60살까지 애 학원 보낼 돈으로 여러분들이 기타를 배웠다든가 피아노를 배웠다든가 그림을 배웠다든가 자수를 배웠다든가 모든 기술을 하나씩 갖고 배워갖고 거기에 익숙한 사람이라면 60살부터 100살까지 재밌을 것 같아요? 재미없을 것 같아요? 재미있어요. 할 줄 아는 게 아무것도 없네. 60살부터 자식 키우는 거 외에는 그거 외에는 할 줄 아는 게 아무것도 죽지도 않고 이 지금 50살이면 110살까지 안 죽는다는 50살이면 110살까지.
Okay, so this time another funny topic, but it's again a serious topic. Here in Korea and over there in America, Koreans, all they know how to do is raise kids. That's it. All they know how to do is raise kids and whatever their job is. They know that. Nothing more. Now, for Americans, somewhere in the busy schedule, your dad has a hobby. Yes, probably. It might be fishing. It might be doing some wood, working on wood, like making cabinets or whatever he wants. Playing a guitar, or playing the drums, something, Your dad knows how to do something. So, by the time, let's just say, you leave the nest, as in you move out, they have something to do. It's not like they got nothing to do. And, well, in Korea and, Koreans in general, they don't really have any, they didn't learn any hobby or something important like that. So by the time we leave the nest, what happens? They have nothing to do. They don't know what to do. They have a boring life till they die. So what they say, what's left to do is die. But that's easier said than done, unless you drug yourself to death or commit suicide. You can't die till you die. Your body physically dies. So it's kind of boring. But in America, you've seen retired people you know, they go on a trip around America, maybe around the world. They know how to live the life, you know, live your life till you die, you know, to have no regrets. So, I mean, I've seen several neighbors where I live where all they do is sit there. That's it. Talk to their friends, gossiping about nonsense. Now, these are Koreans. And I know another neighbor who are Americans, and they go do barbecues and go camping, go fishing. They know how to play instruments, so they're able to have more fun. One of them actually has a hobby of, like, I think it was using clay as a medium to make sculptures, and that's fun, you know. And and he's really good at it, and like, see, all this kind of stuff, knowing how to do it, you know, is fun. But Koreans, they don't know how to do anything except work and raising kids. Thankfully, though, my mom, she likes to tackle new things. So I'm pretty sure by the time I leave her nest, she'll be able to do something. Because she completely Americanized herself when she moved to America and lived there for about 20 years. Yeah. Completely Americanized herself.
요즘 나하고 살게는 여자들 왜 이렇게 많나? 내가 직접 받은 전화예요. 너도 5살 먹은 할머니야. 예. 근데 70살에 이 할머니가 70살에 어떻게 했느냐면은 아들이 5천만 원을 할머니 2억 있었대요. 근데 아들이 어머니 내가 아파트 분양을 받고 싶은데 어차피 내가 어머니 모시고 살 거니까 그 2억을 주고 내가 모시고 살겠다. 이 할머니가 이런 생각이 들었는데 내가 살면 얼마나 사나. 아들이 집사게 하는데 2억을 주고 들어간 거예요. 여러분들 늙어서 자식이 내 집에 들어와서 사는 거랑 내가 자식 집에 들어가서 사는 거랑은 하늘과 땅 차이예요. 하늘과 땅 차이예요. 그러니까 절대 자식한테 지키면 안 돼. 이 할머니가 늙은 돈이 더 필요해. 내가 살면 얼마나 사나. 조금 있으면 죽을 줄 알았더니 85까지 안 죽을 거야. 그래갖고 돈이 500만 원이 필요해갖고 2년 전에 아들한테 얘기해요. 아들아, 나 좀 돈이 필요하니까 500만 원 달라고. 그랬더니 그 말 끝나자마자 2년 전 아들이 여러분들 생각을 해봐요.
Okay. This topic kind of serious. In America, when you leave the nest, that means you get your own house, right? You get your own house, you live separately from your parents. Heck, maybe your guardian. But here, what happens is the parents give the house to their children. Well, especially when they're like in their 50s or something, no, not 50s, like 60s. Yeah, they give their house to their children. Now, giving their house to their children might not sound that bad. I mean, like, oh yeah, the mother can get another house with their money. But along with the house, they give the money. Now that, why would you want to do that, right? And what happens is, basically, what should have been the child, or, well, the son or daughter living under the parents' house becomes, and the parents' money becomes living under the children's house and their money. They have nothing left. Now their thought process is, how much longer will I live anyways? I'm just gonna give them the money, die here naturally, live with them till I die, you know, something along that line. But they don't, you know, they don't think about what's gonna happen. Like, they're gonna live longer than they expect. They're gonna need the money somewhere. You know, in America, we have retirement homes if it's a bother, or, you know, you just retire in general and there you go. You have steady income even though, you know, you're not working anymore. You don't have to worry about that anymore. And just basically, you just have to, you know, live till you die. And if you have a lot of money, maybe travel. But here, you can't do that. If the parents, you know, gave their children just enough money to buy a house, but not all of it, then they would be fine. I mean, that's how Americans do it, right? If it's a little off, a little short, you give them that amount of money, not the whole deal. I think Americans are doing it right in that aspect, because Koreans, you know, they're pretty much, once again, digging their own grave. They make it miserable for themselves, and because there's less respect in Korean society of individuals, individualism for each, you know, child, you know, like they just give away that money and they're like, we're gonna live with you, we're gonna be that leech that will never let go till they die, you know. With that, the parents are stressed, their children are stressed, everyone have a miserable life until one of them dies. Kind of sad.